Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. Today, for our midweek meta deck spot, we are playing Alex Gordon's SCG 5k winning Sneak and Show Decklist. Sneak and Show is a deck that wants to put in a giant monster using either Show and Tell or Sneak Attack. So the creatures we're trying to put in is Griselbrand, Atraxa and Emrakul. So they all have value on their own, so the Emrakul will annihilate their permanents if they're just coming with Sneak Attack. The Griselbrand will let us draw a load of cards and keep going, same with Atraxa. Also, we have a single Omniscience, which we can put in via the Show and Tell, so we can actually cast any of these big creatures, including the Emrakul, which gives us an extra turn, so we can then turn it sideways, and that game should be over at that point. To make all this work, we've got some fast mana. We've got 5 soul lands in the mana base, 3 Ancient Tombs, 2 City of Traitors. We've got 6 additional pieces of fast mana in the form of 4 Lotus Petal and 2 Simian Spirit Guide. Got a whole bunch of cantrips, Brainstorms, Ponders, and then Preordains. Whole bunch of counter spells in 4 Dazes, 4 Force of Wills, and that's pretty much it. This is a very clean deck list compared to some of the ones I've seen before. We are very much just doing our thing with the most solidly good cards surrounding it. We're not trying to play like Flusterstorm and things like that. We're just going in on, you know, classic Force of Will, Daze type action. Obviously, we've got some fetch lands and stuff in our mana base to make our Brainstorm and things better, but yeah. This deck seems quite streamlined. I'm curious to see how it plays. No Vesuvian Drifter here, which was certainly the hot pick for a little while, but seems to have fallen by the wayside a little bit. But that's the main deck. Sideboard-wise, we've got more or less what you'd expect. So we've got 4 defense grids. So we're not messing about. If our opponent's trying to counterspell what we're doing, we're trying to say, no thank you. Then we've got 2 Meltdowns for a lot of these artifact decks that we're a bit worried about, as well as 2 Brotherhood's End, which can also flex into a way of removing creatures that might be a problem for us. 2 Pyroblasts. This can help push through our spells through counter spells or blow up problem permanents that we might need to deal with. Things like counterbalance. Obviously, trying to get through a counterbalance might be difficult with a Pyroblast, but it's something that we can try and wheel our way around. It blows up Mozart Regions if we need to buy some time. Quite a useful card. 3 pieces of Graveyard Hate in the form of Surgical Extraction for the Reanimator decks. And 2 Magus of the Moon, because sometimes just putting a Magus of the Moon into play will win the game just as easily as putting a Griselbrand or an Emrakul in. For those matchups, that's pretty good because we can also play this and then protect it with counter magic, which is going to be very difficult for some decks to get around. And that's it. Quite a streamlined, simple version of the Sneak and Show deck, and obviously did quite well for Alex Gordon, who won the event with it. So we're going to jam some Sneak and Show. Before we do that, though, remember to like and subscribe, and maybe leave me a comment at the end of the video. And if you're interested in supporting the channel in other ways, you can contact me via the Discord linked below to do a donation deck. Alternatively, just leave a comment below and we can sort that out as well. And I have a Patreon that's got some really good stuff on it, including a recently updated massive in-depth primer for green-black turbo decks. Alright, plug over and done with. Let's play some Legacy. This is our opening hand. We have a Sneak Attack, we have the mana to play it, and we have a creature to put in. So I think this is a keep. Although we're a little bit vulnerable to certain things our opponent might be able to have against us. We don't have any way of forcing this through. Okay, so we might be needing to do that because our opponent is representing blue mana, so we might need to find a counter spell. So the plan here is to play the island out, hold up a Brainstorm as an emergency if necessary. Okay, we found a counter spell as well. I don't think we play out the Lotus Petals now. Our opponent is possibly a combo deck themselves in the form of Cephalid Breakfast, which is something I'm going to have to keep an eye on. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we kind of want to play the Sneak Attack and Activate in the same turn. So we're going to cast a Brainstorm on our opponent's end step. Alright, Tropical Island. So I'm not thinking they're... Okay, Ice Fangs. We're looking at a relatively fair band deck, although it could be something like Allurin still, or Food Chain. So there could be a combo aspect to our opponent's deck. But I'm not worried about Breakfast anymore. Right, so Brainstorm from our opponent. So we're looking for another land so we can play and activate Sneak Attack as well as have our Daze handy. If our opponent doesn't tap low, this Daze isn't actually going to do very much for us. So we'll take our damage from this Ice Fang. We've got plenty of turns we can let that hit us. Let's go for an end of turn Brainstorm with a fetch hand up. Let's see if we can find the solution to our problems. A Spell Pierce. Interesting. So notice that one. Okay. A Ponder. Let's go for a Ponder. We've got time to sculpt a more useful hand here is what the plan is. So I'd like this Force of Will for next turn. I think we bury the Lotus Petal, put the Force on top, and then we draw this Volcanic Island. play this out, and we'll pass a turn. Our opponent could have a Wasteland. These Bant decks sometimes run 1 or 2 Wastelands to go with their Uro and Life from Alone strategy. Alright, so there's an Uro. That's fine. Want our opponent to tap low here. Give themselves less interaction with us. We're going to get rid of all their permanents next turn in theory. They didn't find a land, which means they've got 5 business spells over there. Right, so we'll play out this Lotus Petal. We'll play out this Lotus Petal. We'll crack this now for another Volcanic Island. I'm going to need red pips to put in things like Sneak Attack. To put in Sneak Attack and activate it. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's get Sneak Attack into play. How many forms of interaction does our opponent have here? Not very many, as it turns out. Let's put in the big one in Emrakul. Let's go attacks. So we'll annihilate all of our opponent's permanents and put them to 7. Now we will need to find another spell, another creature to put in so we can actually win the game. But we've got Force of Will Daze, and Daze is looking very good against our opponent who doesn't have any permanents. And they didn't find a land off their last turn either. A Misty Rainforest. We'll play this out. Gives us a fetch for Brainstorm purposes, and it gets us one step closer to hard casting a Force of Will. This is the weird phase of the game where we're just trying to find the thing. Alright, let's do the thing. Attacks for exactly lethal. Alright, we got the first game. It looks like a bank control deck. So we're going to board as if they're a bank control deck rather than any sort of combos. So I think we want these defense grids, and Pyroblast probably quite useful here. There is an argument for Magus of the Moon here, but I'm not sure if I want to be going down that route. I think these Dazes are going to get us where we need to be. And we'll trim a couple of Force of Wills. The question is, do we want these 2 Magus of the Moon to potentially mess with our opponent's mana base? Also, are we looking... Because they're white, they might have something like Containment Priest. So maybe I think for the purposes of getting rid of Containment Priest, I'm going to bring these Brotherhood's End. And just sort of rely on getting Defense Grid to do its thing. Alright, this is a lot of the things we want in our deck. So 5 cards from our opponent there. Might be able to play a Defense Grid with a Pyroblast to make it work. But we'll see. Misty Rainforest. Another Defense Grid. I'm just going to go get a basic island here because these decks do run Wasteland. So I'd rather just secure our mana base here and get Ponder going. We're going to get Spell Pierced or Minor Misstepped. Or Flusterstorm, sure. That makes sense. Stop us developing as much as we can rather than trying to fight over the big turn. Okay. Let's jam a defense grid because we have 2, so we're happy to let these go. Ice Fang, sure. They could have a prismatic ending and spend their turn blowing this up, but whether or not they've kept prismatic endings in their deck remains to be seen. Another Ice Fang, sure. Savannah. So now we're just looking for a big monster, really. There is a big monster. Our opponent doesn't have the mana to pay for this. So I think we just go Show and Tell. Let's put in Griselbrand. Our opponent could have something like an Atraxa here. Well, I'd like to draw 7 cards, please. Right, Lotus Petal is good. Do we need to Pyroblast any of these things? I don't think so. We're going to clean up. We've got to get rid of 2 of these cards. Get rid of 1 defense grid and maybe just get rid of 2 defense grids. Now we can Pyroblast away these Death Touch blockers and just start attacking, and that's fine. We can also play the Ancient Tomb, sneak attack in an Atraxa. Gaia's Blessing. Interesting. Why is that in our opponent's deck here? That's an interesting one. Right, so their defense grid is going to stop them from casting any spells in our turn. Alright, so we have an Ancient Tomb here. We can 1, 2, 3, 4. Deploy the sneak attack. We'll use this blue to brainstorm around first. Any of these useful for us? Not especially. Put this on top and put back one of the brainstorms. Activate this. I think at this point we put in the Emrakul. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We annihilate all their permanents and swing for lethal. Alright. Pretty simple one there. We boarded in the thing that meant they couldn't interact with us. They died with 3 cards in hand. Presumably some amount of interaction that just didn't line up well with our defense grid. So, yeah. Pretty happy with that one. Let's go to round 2. Alright, welcome to round 2. Our hand does do the thing we need to do. So I guess we can keep this one. It's a little bit slow though. But the sneak attack hands often are. Ancient Tomb. Simian Spirit Guide. Fail the Mirror Breaker. Okay. So we're probably not losing our lands to Wasteland effects in this matchup. Our opponent is either on Painter or Prison. The One Ring. Alright. They're going to come in with the Goblin Shaman here. This is going to give them a treasure so they can play a 3-drop this turn. Let's see what they have. Okay, a 4-drop this turn. Fail the Mirror Breaker. A Brainstorm. Right, so we'll deploy this Scalding Tarn because we need to get our Volcanic Island so we can do our business here. So I think we will crack off this Brainstorm in our opponent's end step looking for Lotus Petal or Simian Spirit Guide. And then we can annihilate it down all our opponent's permanents. You probably have an idea what we are because Ancient Tomb, Scalding Tarn, that's kind of what you get from that sort of... Like this is the most likely deck to be playing these two cards. Right, so they've got a lot of mana over there. Let's Chrome Mox from our opponent. While imprinting Simian Spirit Guide. Volcanic Island. Cast an end of turn Brainstorm. Did not find the things we wanted there, but we do have a Griselbrand, which I'm kind of into here. We can just Emrakul into Emrakul as well. So I think we are burying an island and Flooded Strand here. Play this one out, crack this, get this. Let's play the sneak attack and hope that we can live another turn. We have lethal, so if we get another turn we can put in Griselbrand and Emrakul and kill our opponent. What is this? 4 mana, 5 mana. Is this just a Solitude for damage? Sure. So this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is exactly lethal, I think, right? If they copy their Solitude with the Reflection of Kijiji. So I think we're just 1 turn too shy. If we'd have had the Lotus Petal there, we'd have been alright. Sure. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If they all turn sideways, we die. Yeah. Awkward, but they got us. So I'm not sure how far into white they are, which is a bit awkward. I think we're probably going to want these sorts of things. It's a case of what do we want to replace. Maybe it's just the Dazes because they got so much mana and it's so easy for them to play around Dazes. And that's probably fine. So the Brotherhood then can clean up creatures or artifacts. It was really handy. We cannot keep this hand. We will mulligan this one. No, can't keep this one. It's got no land. Right, this is the best one so far. I think we can keep this one. 2 of these cards have got to go though. We can probably afford to pitch 1 of our lands here. I don't think we've got time for Force of Will here. So I think we're just getting rid of Force of Will and this. And we're probably going to lead out on Volcanic Island into Ponder. They're not really going to be attacking on a mana base and we can go and fetch stuff off of this. We don't really want to draw through all of these, so I think it's any order and shuffle. Another Brotherhood's End. Okay. So if we draw lands, at least we can kill a bunch of their creatures. But our hand is a bit weak here. Just going to be a Chalice for 1 to stop us cantripping. Yeah, that's fine. We've got that covered anyway. If we find another land, that is. There we go. Easy. Always had it. So there's our Scalding Tarn, and we'll pass. Hopefully our opponent will play out some more artifacts so we can get a real bonanza with our Brotherhood's End. Right, Cavernous Souls. This is probably going to be... Okay, so there might be more into the white than we first expected. But we'll see. Like, if they're playing Solitude, they've got to have a decent chunk. Yeah, so they have proper full-on initiative. So this is going to be a Seasoned Dungeoneer, I think. Which is not a creature that we can hit with Brotherhood's End. Yeah. We can Brotherhood's End away their Chalice and their Chrome Mox, though, which will set them back a bit. But the Seasoned Dungeoneer will just kill us in a few turns. Meltdown. Is that better for us than casting the Brotherhood's End? We can crack this for Volcanic Island. We can cast this for red. Red. This will blow up their Chalice and their Mox. And yeah, we need to survive this Seasoned Dungeoneer. I guess there's a weird world where we can cast both these Brotherhood's End and maybe kill this Seasoned Dungeoneer, but that's going to involve them not forging and also missing with the Explore trigger, whatever it's called. I think it's Explore. Explores, yeah. Sure. Alright, they're forging. Just gets another counter on it, we're just never killing it. Our plan mainly is to race though. But we will need to find something to do that with. Okay, what are we seeing here? Caves of Chaos Adventure. So we're going to be dead next turn then. Because it's going to put us to 15 or 14. Seasoned Dungeoneer is going to attack, put us to 10. So we die on our next turn. We need to put an Emrakul into play. And that still might not be good enough. Lotus Petal. We can kill this Cozy Chaos Adventurer. That potentially buys us one more turn. Because this can only hit us for 6 instead of 7. Let's get an island here. Each creature. Alright. Are we playing out this Lotus Petal? I don't think we need to. If they get another Chalice, it's going on 1, I think. Unless they've got the mana to put it on 3. So, sneak attack isn't something that's going to win us the game here. Chromox. Right, so it's a 7, so we die here. Right, they hit the thing and we die. We got smushed pretty quickly there. Yeah. Unfortunate, our hand didn't really come together. We were 1 turn too slow in the first game. And then in game 2, we mulliganed. And we just never really got off the ground. And our opponent had like turn 1. Was it turn 1? No, it was turn 1 Chalice, turn 2 Seasoned Dungeoneer. Yeah, so initiative cards still pretty good. Let's go to round 3. Alright, our opening hand does get us there. So I think we can keep this one. Again, it's a touch slow. But we've got interaction to get us there. Mishra's Bauble. Are we looking at 8 cast? Are we looking at Saga Storm? Or are we looking at Delver? Those are the 3 most likely things. Alright, I think we're looking at Grixis Delver here. That'd be my guess. Okay, they've seen the top card of our library. Let's see how much information they got off of that. A Lotus Petal. That's a very good draw for us. So we can play this one out and pass the turn. Yep, so there's our Volcanic Island from our opponent. We're correct on our read. A Dragon's Rage Channeler. We're not going to cancel that. We're going to be better than it. That's the plan, at least. Alright. A Lotus Petal. That does change the maths here, doesn't it? Let's go and get ourselves a Volcanic Island here. Play out this Petal. Opponent's got 1 mana over there. Let's go for a sneak attack. We have 1 layer of protection here. They can't do any sort of edict stuff if that's the thing they have. Let them resolve their scry first, or their surveil. And we will Force of Will their Force of Will. If they have a Daze, we can pay, and it just leaves a sneak attack in play for a turn. We have another red source in hand if they wasteland us off of the island as well. It's Brainstorm, I'm guessing, into looking for more action. Right, a Daze. Doing a surveil. Alright, so we have a sneak attack. So our opponent has to stop the sneak attack from going off on our turn. If they have a Thoughtseize, they can just take our Griselbrand, and that would be very sad. Yeah, so they're going to wasteland our Volcanic Island. Yeah. We're going to take our 3, and then we're going to put in a Griselbrand, and our opponent's hopefully going to be quite sad. Do you have a Stifle? That'd be pretty good here. Activate this. Put in our Griselbrand. I think. Alright, they're just scooping. We were going to draw 7 cards, and then we're going to hit them, and then we can choose to put more cards. If the first 7 finds us a red source that we can put like a Petal or a Sinister Spirit Guide and a monster, then even better. Alright, so what do we want here? I think this is another defense grid matchup. I don't think we want to bother with some of these things. I think we're just looking at a very similar play to last time. Would you rather have Force of Wills? Or would you rather have Dazes? I think we probably would rather have the Force of Wills here. So we'll trim like this. There's also an option of trimming Preordains. But I think we're going to roll like this. Magus of the Moon is actually kind of interesting in this matchup. Are they going to board out their red sources, their red removal spells? Like, they might do. But they might keep them in because of Magus. So we're kind of playing this weird little dance if we keep the Magus. Alright, let's try it over the Preordains. Maybe that's a weird thing to do, but I'm going to try it out. I've not played the Maguses into this matchup before. I've not played a lot of Sneak and Show. So we're going to give it a go and see how it feels. I should be able to shut them off with blue very easily. I don't think they have a single basic in their deck. So if you kind of treat them like Death Shadow, except they do have the option for Lightning Bolts, but why would they have Lightning Bolts against us? Well, I guess today we're going to check out this Magus of the Moon, I suppose. We've got Island Ponder to begin with, and we will be getting a basic island off our Scalding Tarn. We've got a Force of Will if we need it. Right, they're just holding open some mana. So I think they've got some sort of reaction. I'm guessing Pyroblast. I really hope it isn't Stifle. We have to counterspell that if it is. Right, so we get basic island. Just cast Everyone's Friend, Ponder. Defense Grid, pretty nice. City of Traitors, also pretty nice. Sinister Spirit Guide, also pretty nice. I like all of these cards in different ways. So let's put them on top of this. Say no to shuffling our library. So we can play City of Traitors next turn if we want to, and use that to play the defense grid. There's a Wasteland. There's a Dragon's Rage Channeler. Alright, that does change things slightly, because the City of Traitors is less good in the face of that Wasteland. Do we want to just force through this Magus? But where are we going if we do that? Yeah, that's kind of awkward. I think we are in Brainstorm Town. Wowzers, trousers. Okay. So we'll put back these 2 Emrakuls, I guess. Is that right? Just put back the Emrakuls. Put back the Emrakuls and we'll draw an Emrakul next turn. We'll play out this City of Traitors. We'll play out this defense grid. We can pay for a Daze here, but it's kind of an awkward situation for us. Do we want to make this resolve? I think we do. Let's picture show and tell. Alright, so they're using their counter spells here because if they don't use them now, then they won't ever get to use them. So, sure. That's the end of that chapter. Are they going to wasteland our City of Traitors? I'd be surprised if they didn't, to be honest. There it goes. It's very sad. So we can just try for a show and tell right now into Daze. We know the top card of our library is another Emrakul. Like they could also have something like a Spell Pierce or a Pyroblast. If they've got a Pyroblast, the Magus of the Moon is where we want to play. But we are behind on the clock if we do that to what they've got attacking us. This is tough. If we try the show and tell now, we either do it now or we wait 2 turns. 2 turns is a lot of turns. I think we have to go now. Pyroblast. We've got 2 cards in hand. Feels like we're getting Pyroblasted. Yep. So that might happen. Okay. I think we're losing this one. We're just going to get beaten down with this guy. They had 4 counter spells, right? So that's quite a lot. 4/3 counter spells. Yep. And now we're just going to get buried by them cantripping into stuff and their spells being really cheap and good and us having a complete dead card on top of our library. Which is the problem with A+B combo decks. You have this very powerful effect that wins you the game, but you sometimes draw bits of it and can't assemble it properly. You just get beaten. Alright, what's the next draw going to be for us? Let's have a look. A Griselbrand. That's not the one. So we need to find land and show and tell here. So we're going to get beaten up pretty hard here. Defense grid, that's not it. So I don't think we have any draws that do anything for us here. But we might get a tiny bit more information about our opponent if they scry. We might be able to see a sideboard card or something. So we can play that and then die. Right, let's concede that one and go to next game. Do we want to do things differently on the play? Bringing in things like Daze is certainly more an effective line because it costs us less cards as well. I think that's probably better than Force of Will, especially when we know they're bringing in Pyroblasts. How do I feel about this Magus of the Moon? It does seem very potent for what it can achieve. I think we will still keep it. Just have the 2 Dazes. Another hand that doesn't play because it's got no mana. Okay, we can keep this one. One of these has got to go back. Are we trying to force through the defense grid with a Daze or not? I think maybe we put back the City of Traitors. It's a little bit of a liability in terms of wasteland and stuff. Let's play this one out. It's awkward which land we play there because you kind of want to get 2 basics. But we also want to have Pyroblast available on turn 1 if something goes weird. I imagine they're just going to play a Channeler. Yeah, so it doesn't really matter that we had to. So this can just go get us an island, this can get us a mountain. Show and tell. Alright, we're getting there. Basic island, please. And basic mountain, please. And we'll deploy our defense grid. What would you like to do with this one, opponent? A Force of Negation. I think we will Daze this, returning our island. Okay, so we need some more mana now. They've only got 2 different types for their Channeler, but they can easily play a Ponder or something here and put 2 types in and be away and smashing us down. Also, Orcish Bowmaster is very good against Griselbrand. Okay, there is Dragon's Rage Channeler. There is the Ponder. So we're going to get 2 Surveils here. So there's a creature into their graveyard now and the sorcery from the Ponder. So this is going to be attacking for 3 once it's resolved. Yep. So I do have a fair clock. We do need to find a land. But putting in a Griselbrand is a pretty good way of winning the game. So we just need a mana source. I'm just going to get bashed up for 6 here. And we're going to draw a mana source. It's going to be great. Not draw a mana source. Let's ponder. Brainstorm and a Daze. Okay, so we'll bury the Brainstorm. And the Daze. We'll draw this island. So next turn we can show and tell with Daze backup if they keep 3 mana open to play a Force of Will through our defense grid. There's a Wasteland. That doesn't impact us right now, but it means they can pay for the Daze. But we don't have an option, we just have to cast a show and tell here. We can't draw any cards here, but we do have a big guy. We can't defend it with our Daze, but they have so much mana it doesn't matter anyway. These creatures of theirs have to attack. So we might be able to gain 7 life here. Got a Lightning Bolt. They're Hydroblasting their own guy, which is going to make this come through and kill us. Yeah, they got us pretty good there. Yeah, we just got to delve it out. We missed on land for a turn, which would have made all the difference there. So it kind of missing on land a little bit here and there is costing us. We're always 1 turn away, which is usually what happens in your combo deck. You either do nothing, smash your opponent, or you're like 1 turn away. There's never anything else. But all right, we are 1 and 2. Not great. Let's go to the 4th round. All right, we have a turn 2 protected show and tell. That's what we're here to do. So we just need to find a creature. So we can keep this. I think we probably preordain on turn 1 unless we draw a creature. Ica Wellspring. Okay, I think our opponent might be playing the Bosch and Roll deck that he posted today from when I'm recording this, which was a Crack Clan Ironworks deck. Right, so we still have a protected one. This deck won't mess with our mana base, so I'm just going to go and get a Volcanic Island here. And I'm going to Preordain. Put this on the bottom, put this on the top. Alright, so next turn we get to put in a Griselbrand. There's a Saga from our opponent, yep. Scrap Trawler. We let them have this. It's the Crack Clan Ironworks we really need to do something about here. Well, I suppose if we cast Show and Tell, they can just put in the Crack Clan Ironworks. That's kind of awkward for us, isn't it? Alright, so let's cast Show and Tell here. I think I might regret letting them get their Scrap Trawler here. I'm going to put KCI in. They did put KCI in. Okay. So what is our solution to this problem that we're in here? I'm going to draw 7 cards. That's normally a good... Oh god, that was a real bad 7 cards. Yikes. Right, I guess we're going to go to cleanup and get rid of City of Traitors, fetch land, non-fetch land. Kind of want to keep our ponders. Don't want to get rid of all of our lands. Fetch land here. Brainstorm. Okay, this is going to be challenging. We've got a lot of stuff for this in our sideboard. With all of our like meltdown-y type shenanigans. Sure, so they're going to draw some cards off of this. This deck's pretty cool. It's a lot of work clicking through it though. Right. So they're sacrificing a load of stuff here. Karn the Great Creator, we say no to Karn the Great Creator. It's one of our ponders, so we can at least hold up this Daze. Unlikely this Daze does anything, truth be told. Our opponent is not shy of a few mana over there, but if they go for another 4-drop here, we can Daze this. They have to sacrifice the Scrap Trawler. Then what are we doing? I think it's worth doing this because it means they can't play good stuff as easily. Yikes. Not a fan of this. So they're going to sacrifice a Scrap Trawler to the Crack Clan Ironworks, which gets them back their Ica Wellspring. And then they can pay one of those mana to get rid of our... I guess we could always draw 7 more cards. But then our opponent can just get... can they get Walking Ballista and kill us? I don't think so. We don't know what's in their hand is the problem. I think we just have to let this go. Crack Clan Ironworks can exile itself as well. So if they have another artifact, like a 0-drop, then they could get the Walking Ballista. So we don't want to pay a load of life and just give them an easy route to victory. Right, they're going to find something. We're just going to be... They could get in Snaring Bridge, sacrifice their Crack Clan Ironworks to play it. Pithing Needle. I'll take 7 cards in response. They're going to name Sneak Attack now. Nope, still in Griselbrand. 3 cards left in our opponent's hand. They can sacrifice this Pithing Needle. Alright. Got a whole bunch of stuff here. So play this out. We can't deploy our Sneak Attack this turn. So does that mean we're playing a land and casting a Brainstorm first? 2 Force of Wills. Okay, I'll take these. We'll put back a couple of lands. Go attacks. We'll attack Karn the Great Creator. I'm going to clean up, just get rid of some lands here. Doing basic island. I think we do need the City of Traitors next turn. Is there any difference if we keep the city or not? I don't know. We need to keep a land, so it may as well be city. We need to keep sneak attack. We need to probably get rid of the Atraxa here. Right, so we've got 2 Force of Wills to get us through this turn. That's what we find off the Saga. So next turn we go 1, 2, 3, 4, sneak attack, put in Emrakul, kill our opponent. That is a good plan. They can rejigger their Pitting Needle by sacrificing and getting it back with something else. So get it back with a Scrap Trawl and then putting it on sneak attack instead. Ica Wellspring, sure. They can certainly spin their wheels a fair bit here, but we need to stop something like a Scrap Trawler or a Karn. Those are the big payoffs. Yep. Chromatic Star. Another Wellspring, sure. Just a 0 mana draw 2 is what the old Wellspring ends up being. A mere Retriever. So when this dies, they get back any artifact they want. So I think I'm going to counterspell this one. We can't draw with Griselbrand because we'll go to 2 lower life total. Pyrite Spellbomb. Okay, we're definitely not drawing any cards with Griselbrand. Play this. Sneak attack 1, 2, 3, 4, and a red. Put in Big Emma. Go to attacks. And that's the game. Okay, so we managed to get game 1, which is good. This is a deck that can definitely race what we're doing. I would like to board in Brotherhood's End and Meltdowns. Surgical Extraction and Magus of the Moon are kind of useful. I'm pretty glad I watched Boshmar's video today. I normally do. His content's great. You should check it out. So, Daze doesn't feel like it's going to be any use here. So these automatically become all the Brotherhood's Ends and Meltdowns and things. They're probably going to be running Defense Grid, which means you don't want to go too high on counter spells. Magus of the Moon stops Urza's Saga. Do we care about Urza's Saga? A little bit, but I don't think that's really the crux of the matter here. I think we just want these 4 things, keep all the cantrips and define them. That's probably good enough. Like, if they're going to have defense grids as well, we're not going to be able to do much with our surgical extractions either. I think we just got 4 solid artifact hate pieces and the fact that we can counterspell stuff and go quite hard with our combo. Show and Tell, Emrakul. We just need another mana source. This is a turn 2 Emrakul. We'll keep this. Tree of Tales, Ancient Stirrings. What a cool card. Big fan of Ancient Stirrings. Need to play some Ancient Stirrings decks on the channel at some point. Ica Wellspring, sure. Right, we'll lead out on a Ponder. A Lotus Petal, an Iron, and a Show and Tell. These are all cards I like. So, alright. So next turn we can Show and Tell. Put in our Emrakul and say, is this good enough? Another setup turn from our opponent. Let's see how much they set up this turn. There's a Saga. That's going to be too slow for what we're putting down here. Pithing Needle, sure. That doesn't actually... It's going to say name Sneak Attack, I believe. Griselbrand, sure. So we're going to get this Lotus Petal off the top of our library. Play this. Going to play this. Going to play this. Cast this. Put in our Emrakul. What does our opponent get? They could get a discounted KCI here to get their engine going. We've got a mana open. Alright, just the Wellspring, that's fine. So we've got a mana open here, which allows us to brainstorm in an emergency to find something. We already have a blue card. So if we can find a Force of Will off of it, that's cool. City of Traitors. I got the Ironworks. Tangle Wire. That's kind of annoying. Gonna have 4 permanents tapped down. We lose a permanent to try and brainstorm for an answer for it. Is there any problem here? I think it's worth trying to stop this. Okay, I think we'll put this back and this back. And we will Force of Will, pitching Show and Tell on the Tangle Wire. And then we get to annihilate all of our opponent's permanents. Ancient Stirrings. I definitely think I am the bad guy here, because they're playing a cool deck with things like Tangle Wire and all these sweet cards. Whereas we're just playing good old, reliable Show and Tell. Alright, so that's 4 rounds done. We are 2-2 going for a Wizard Rocket. This card's really cool. Yeah, so we're going for the 3-2 finish now. Let's get into it. Opening hand for final game doesn't do anything. Let's mulligan. This hand requires one of our combo pieces. We do have a Brainstorm, which definitely covers a multitude of sins. So I think we can keep this one. And what are we going to pitch? Is it going to be the Emrakul or the Atraxa? I think it's probably... It could just be the basic mountain here, actually. That seems fine to me. I was going to say, the Atraxa is better in general because it's a blue card. So if things are going wrong, at least it does something else. Right, Flooded Strand from our opponent. How on the fair to unfair spectrum do we think our opponent is? Okay, they're on the unfair spectrum. There's a set for a breakfast deck. We could be dead next turn. Our banner base is not going to be under threat from this opponent. We have a Brainstorm that we can fire off in an emergency if they have the Cephalid Illusionist. A Brainstorm. That is not Cephalid Illusionist. That's good news. Have to be really careful about show and telling as well. We can just set our opponent up. Okay, we're going to take a bit of damage here. Shuko. Right, so they got 2 of the B, but they need the A now to complete their combo. Right, I think this is the turn we Brainstorm for something useful. Okay, that counts, doesn't it? So I think we put back the Volcanic and one of these. Let's see what interaction our opponent has here. We can draw 14 cards pretty happily here if we get a Griselbrand into play, which we do. Okay, so let's draw some cards here. It's not the one. Let's draw some more cards. We got some forces and some dazes and things, but our opponent does have the combo just rolled up over there. So it's one of the things I said I was worried about. We must discard some cards. Yep, we must. We need the sneak attack if somehow we get another turn. Guess that means we're probably getting rid of a Ponder. Got 2 lands, we need to keep those. Can't really get rid of any more blue cards. I guess we've got 2 Atraxas, so we can get rid of one of those. Let's still got to discard another one. We need to keep the Emrakul because that wins us the game. Got the Daze. Omniscience. Alright. Can they beat Force of Will and Daze? Probably is the answer to that one. But we get to see their deck, which is important. We know exactly what build they're on. Are they on the Stoneforge Mystic build? Are they on the Staff of Storyteller build? Are they doing something else? Let's find out. So there's the Cabal Therapy. They're targeting us. They will name Force of Will, so we will do... We'll keep Omniscience just in case we draw a Force of Will. Not a Force of Will, sorry, a Source to Plowshares on the Griselbrand, sure. In case we draw a Show and Tell, we can put in Omniscience and cast the Emrakul. Staff of the Storyteller, sure. Right. I think they've assumed that we have an answer here. But they might just be doing it in their second main, just in case something goes wrong. Nope. They're just letting us go. A Polluted Delta. That doesn't actually achieve the things that we need it to achieve. We kind of have to do this now, unfortunately. Which means our opponent's more likely to just go for it. And we could have kept one less blue card and had the land. That might have been... and kept the Simian Spirit Guide. Alright, so this is going to bounce our sneak attack. We should have dazed that, but I was too worried about other things. Yeah, I've just... yeah, we could have dazed the Teferi and had a better time of it there. I think we're just going to lose here. Griselbrand, so we would need to find a soul land. How many do we have left in our deck? Only Ancient Tombs, which don't do it. So I think we are cooked here. Yeah, I think we'll just scoop this one up. Yeah, we should have dazed the Teferi. They did play a land after the Teferi, which was odd. Alright. Surgical Extraction, these are good. Magus of the Moon is okay sometimes here. You can shut off there as a Saga, which is one of their tutor engines. It can pressure Teferi. It's not too shabby. Brotherhood's End can blow up a bunch of their stuff as well. So these are things I'm interested in. We can't board in the defense grid because we are kind of the control here, which is a damning indictment of where we are right now. I think we can probably trim some Preordains. The Omniscience line is very good for us here. Yeah, this is one of the difficult matchups to sideboard for sure. And we're just trimming a Ponder. And I don't think we've got room for these other things, so I think we have to keep it like this. Yeah, this is tough. Annoyed myself not dazing that Teferi. Okay, what do we have here? We just need to find another mana source. And then we can put in some stuff. I like putting in stuff here. So let's go for Ponder. We're looking for mana sources. These are mana sources. Would quite like a blue spell here though. So we can sneak attack, put in... Sorry, we can show and tell, put in sneak attack. And then sneak in the Atraxa. Draw some cards off of it. Hopefully find the ability to put in another creature. And try and kill our opponent that way. So this is the Lotus Petal that we knew was coming. Are we supposed to sneak attack here? Or just cast the sneak attack? Rather than show and telling it in. That's an interesting choice. Because then we can protect with show and tell. Yeah, I think I like that. Let's go for that. They can't play Teferi next turn as well. So we are in an okay-ish spot there. What interaction does our opponent have? Force of Will, pitching Brainstorm. We'll pitch this show and tell. Are we in? Right, they can't play a Teferi next turn. We can put in the Atraxa. If we find any other creature, we can put that in. And that's pretty close to lethal at that point. It's going to be a slow grind to a Pithing Needle for them. Alright, we're in. Alright, let's put in this Atraxa first. Player can't cast spells this turn. Okay. Let's see what Atraxa finds us. We'll take this Emrakul, please. And it doesn't really matter what the other cards are. Take Surgical Extraction. Take an island. Take... is that everything? And then Sneak Attack. So done. Then we will put in his Emrakul. Go attacks. Kill our opponent. Alright. That worked alright for us. The Sneak Attack line was the better one there because we got to use the Force, which was very relevant. Alright, I think we want some Pyroblast in as well. That's something I probably should have had in before. I think they're definitely going to be better than Daze's. Let's try that. They've seen that we have Surgical Extraction in our deck as well. Okay, this is turn 1 Show and Tell with Force of Will backup. Reasonable, but sometimes not good enough, which is kind of worrying. Okay, our opponent's mulligan to 5. Certainly helps us out. There's a Tundra. There's a Ponder. A Sneak Attack, you say? Interesting. Then we're going to cast our Show and Tell. Right, I think we're supposed to put in the Atraxa here. And just refuel with some more interaction when our opponent's mulligans so gratuitously. Alright, we're going to get plowed in response, perhaps. We don't care about this if they do plow it. Orim's Chant. Sure, that's fine. So we get an artifact, an enchantment, a land. This allows us to put Sneak Attack into play next turn. And a creature. We can have an Emrakul or we can have another Atraxa. And we get this instant, which will be a Pyroblast. And do we want a mountain or do we want an Ancient Tomb here? I think we want an Ancient Tomb. So we've got 9 cards in hand now. So we can't get rid of our Forcible Blue card. We can get rid of one of our Sneak Attacks. We only need 2 of those. Then are we getting rid of our land? That seems like an error. Getting rid of our Sneak Attack. We just get rid of the Emrakul. Let's get rid of the Emrakul. We'll find another creature at some point. We've got Ponders and stuff. Mostly we're just going to try and ride this Atraxa. We only have 1 piece of interaction this turn, but if our opponent has a combo, they need... Okay, Teferi, Time Raveler. I'm going to have to say no to this one, I think. Okay, so we have a Pyroblast here if we want it. And then we go attacks. So we have 2 Pyroblasts here. I think we're just going to play this out and let our City of Traitors die. And just hold up double piece of interaction with a 7/7 massive lad. Or ladette. I don't really know what Atraxa is supposed to be. They, presumably, who knows. Right. Okay, so there's no point us rushing to Sneak Attack. We don't have anything to put in. Right. There's another 7. So our opponent's got 1 more turn. We've got double Pyroblast around Daze. So, step through. Right. So they found their wizard. Orim's Chant and the 2 guys will win the game for them, though. Alright. They didn't get there, and we did. So that's a 3-2 for us with the deck. Not too shabby. Let's have a quick chat about what we've got here. So, other versions of this I've played, like I said before, have things like Flusterstorm and all kinds of different things. I've even played builds with Intuition in. There's quite a lot of flex slots that people are messing with. I've played with more Omniscience than one as well. But at the end of the day, they're all quite similar, right? There's not an amazing amount of things separating them, and they all play the same. I think we're just tweaking percentages here and there, which is more going to affect people who play this deck a lot and get the percentages from their play patterns. Whereas obviously I've played this deck a few times, but I'm nowhere near like a good pilot with this deck. So I think for my purposes, I can't really evaluate how this build compares to other ones. I felt fine. Didn't feel like we had any problems really. You know, we kind of stumbled over ourselves in the games we lost, right? Our deck lost us some games, and that's going to happen when you play a combo deck sometimes. Like, we were 1 turn away from those games. We did get absolutely bodied by the Red-White Initiative deck, but that wasn't necessarily because of what they were doing. It was we mulliganed quite hard just to try and find lands, which was something we struggled with in a few games. But again, that's something that's just going to happen when you play decks like this sometimes. It's part of Magic, and why it's so good is that there is this element of variance, so the games aren't always the same. Sometimes you're going to get screwed by that variance, but that's life, isn't it, really? Yeah, I don't have a great deal to say about this. Everything about this just felt really clean. I think this is a good way of getting into Sneak and Show if you want to play a build that just does exactly what it says on the tin sort of thing. This is probably one of the builds I would recommend. There's not a lot of nuance to this one with like a few singletons or like Brazen Borrowers and bits and pieces in it. But I do think the builds with access to Fury have impressed me a bit more. It feels like you have like a bit of other game going on. And I have played builds with Fable and Mirror Breaker as well, which again gives you more nuance and stuff like that and ability to sculpt in different ways. But I think this is very much a bog standard streamlining type thing. So if you want to try out and see if this archetype's for you, this is probably one to have a look at and see if it's the deck for you, really. And then once you've got to grips with like the basic things of it, you can start making it more exciting, putting in Furies, putting in Fables, and you can really sort of tweak it to how you like to play. With Vesuvian Drifter as another option as well. But that's it for me today. It was quite a quick one, which is good. I've done so many long ones lately, so it's nice to have a bit of quick ones so I can go to bed at a reasonable time. So if you're still here, like, comment, and subscribe. These things help me out. Why not check out my Patreon from a few quid a month if you really like my content. Obviously, you don't have to. My videos will always be free, and they won't be like early access or anything. Everyone gets them at the same time. But you know, if you're in a position to help me, I appreciate that. But at the end of the day, just enjoy my content, share it, watch it, play some Legacy yourself. And that's about it, really. So thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.